So something I've been thinking about a lot as I reread Oedipus is cognitive dissonance. It's the idea, it's from psychology, the idea that you can know something cognitively and yet your behavior or your choices or just your general beliefs won't absorb that information and apply it. And so cognitive dissonance is a word that's become I hear it a lot now, sort of in think pieces and online, and it seems like there's a lot of cognitive dissonance in our country and maybe in other countries, on all sides of the political spectrum. Like climate change is a really obvious one, right? Where we know certain things and yet we just can't adjust our behavior to incorporate that information. Or in some cases, we have the information, but we just won't believe the information. So I think about this a lot, and I've been, wondering if this is like a uniquely American trait or if this is something that's, the result of just the situation. And I realized reading Oedipus again that no, this is a human trait. This has been part of what we are since well before the Greeks. And especially in the scene, Oedipus starts to find out the truth from Tiresias, and he outright rejects that information, and denial is strong there. And given Tiresias's, presentation, when you try to convince somebody of something that they don't want to believe, psychologists talk a lot about what's effective in persuasion, and, insulting somebody or presenting it in a way that makes them defensive is not going to work. So the scene that really, I think displays a lot of cognitive dissonance is when Oedipus goes back to Jocasta, and Jocasta tells him about the oracle she visited and why she doesn't believe oracles. And then she tells him about the scene on the road where her husband was killed. And Oedipus sort of has this realization oh, yeah, that lines up with what I did. And yet he still won't believe it until he gets all the information to agree with this prediction. And I think to us as the audience, it seems really obvious that Oedipus is the one who killed Laius, but there's cognitive dissonance there. He just can't absorb the information because the implications are just too horrifying. And I think that's something we face a lot today, is that if we truly absorb what we know from science, from just our history, if we truly absorb that information and apply it to our behavior and incorporate it into our being, it's traumatic to do it because it means such significant change that we reject it inherently.